Good morning, everybody. My name is Anupam Das. I am a part of a faculty with Networkers Home Private Limited. Today, we are going to see what do we understand by NAT. So, NAT, the full form, the abbreviation is Network Address Translation. What it does, basically, it enables private IP networks that use unregistered IP address to connect to the internet. NAT basically operates on a router, usually connecting two networks together and translates the private IP address in the internal network into a registered or legal network. Before this package, they are being forwarded to the network. So basically what happens, let us just see an example which we encounter in our day-to-day life. Let's say that right now this is your home. You have a wireless modem. Okay. Now from your modem, there will be a cable which goes outside to your house, connected to a pole, in which will have a unit. From the ISP, it will give connections to everybody else, like a distributor. Then from the pole, it is the actual ISP. You get the internet connection from. Alright, so let's say the ISP has given you a public IP address 100.1.1.1. So this public IP address will be there in your modem. Now your modem will have one more IP address, which is a private IP address, and it's very common. That will be, let's say, 192.168.1.1. And this IP address will be serving the purpose for of a default gateway. For whom? For your other LAN devices. Let's say you have your computer, you have your laptop, and you have one smart device. Let's say your mobile device. Now, whenever you're trying to connect to the internet wireless, like using the Wi-Fi of your router or a modem at your home. So what you can see that you get IP addresses assigned to your computer, to your devices. Let's say this guy gets 1.2, this guy gets 1.3, and this guy gets 1.4. But right now, how you are able to access all the websites using just one public IP. This is the feature, and this is the magic what NAT does. So your IP address that is assigned to you is a part of your public IP address with the default gateway of 192.168.1.1. So whatever data you upload or download, or whatever data packets are traveling, this modem here, it is doing the NAT. It is just going to change the source IP of your data packets to public. That means, let's say, if this computer is trying to communicate to, if you're trying to open the Google page, let's say, just a hypothetical example, and on your mobile device also you're trying to open the same Google page. But how come you're able to open them at the same time? It's very simple, because your modem is doing the NAT. Whatever data packets it's coming to the modem, your modem will change the source IP from 192.168.1.2 or 192.168.1.4, and it is going to attach the source IP of your public register IP address 100.1.1.1.1, and it's going to send it to the internet outside. So this is your inside and this is your outside. This was the basic functions of NAT. Alright, now quickly we'll see the configuration, and before that I'll just show you the type of NAT we have today. Okay, so the first type of NAT we have is known as static NAT. The second type of NAT we have is dynamic NAT, and third one is known as NAT overload, or we also refer to as PAT, port address translation. So what happens in static NAT? In static NAT, what happens that, let's say if in your company, if you have two servers in your lab, that is your inside, then you will take two IP addresses from the ISP. That means two registered or public IP addresses. So in static NAT, what you do, let's say if you have server 1, server 2, and this is your ISP, so you will take two IP addresses from the ISP and you will map them one-on-one basis. One-on-one basis. Alright? What I mean by here is, if I have 50 servers in my company, I need 50 public IPs from the internet, from the ISP. And I will map them one by one. That means what? Statically I'm mapping server 1 has to go using the first public IP address, server number 2 has to go outside using second public IP address. It's more like you're defining everything statically, one-to-one mapping. Now, the second one we have is called as dynamic NAT. What is dynamic NAT? We'll take the same example over here. Let's say if I have 50 servers in my company, 50 servers, that means what? I need 50 private IP addresses. Now this 50 servers, what I'll do, I'll take a range from the ISP. Range or scope. Range or scope of the public IP address or public IP network. Okay, let's say I have 50 servers and I have taken a range, let's say 100.1.101 to 100.1.1.50. I will define this in the router, and the router is going to dynamically, map the translations over here. That means what? Server number 1 will be using the first public IP address, server number 2 second, and so on. But right now the mapping is happening automatically because I have not defined it statically. Everybody is free to go. If somebody is not using, they will stop, and my dynamic will help me to map the IP addresses. Okay, third one is known as NAT overload or PAT. Now what happens in NAT overload? Let's say I have 100 servers or 100 hosts. Now I have only one public IP from the ISP. So using only one public IP, I will be able to go outside, from inside to outside. It's not like a static or dynamic in which you have to match the number of hosts. No. I can have thousands of hosts, but still I can go to the internet using one public IP address. That is known as my NAT overload. Network Address Translation Overload. Now here what happens, right now you just define the network that you're working on inside your LAN, and you connect to a router, whatever it is, define the NATing on the router, and the router will be able to proceed further your LAN data packets from private to public. These are the three basic types of NAT we have, and the third one, NAT overload, it is used worldwide at the utmost level, believe me. Alright, let us just quickly go ahead and see the configuration. So before I configure NAT, I'll show you what we have over here. Let's say this is your office or home, whatever it is, and you have 3 hosts over here, 1, 2, 3, and your private IP address inside is 192.168.10.1, and your host IP address will be 192.168.10.10, 10.11, 10.12. Okay, and this is a part of your internet, and at the internet side from your side, from the ISP, you're getting the public IP as 200.10.10.1. So that means whenever you want to try access any internet website, let's say Google, Facebook, whatever it is, so when you hit the internet and when you're able to open the Google web page, you will see that right now this source IP everybody's, and it will show you that you are 201 sorry, 10.10.1, be it any computer. So source IP will be fixed because it is registered IP. Register means it is registered on your name. Okay. Now let's say this is your server side. It can be, we can call it as Amazon, Google, Facebook, whatever it is. Okay. So here what is happening from the Google's office perspective, obviously they will be getting a public IP. They'll have their default gateway and their server local IP address. All right. So this is the architecture over here. I am going to do what? I'm going to, right now I have only one server over here, one host, and I have only one public IP. So I will do static on the side. And here I have 3 hosts and 1 public IP. So I will be doing path or NAT overload over here. Okay. So basically, first of all, we have to first of all understand the routing part of it. Let me just quickly define it. Routing, guys, always understand that without routing, your NAT will not work. So I'm just going to define the IP address 68.10.1. That's my default gateway. Let me go to the second PC over here quickly. Define the IP address 10.11. All right, and let me go to third PC over here. The IP address will be 10.12 and the default gateway is 10.01. Okay. All right. Now it's time for me to just assign the IP addresses. Oh, let me just put it on here. Okay. So I'll say enable config terminal, and I will say interface F0/0. I'll say IP address. Our default IP address is 192.168.10.1, and the subnet mask is 2.10.0. That's a no chat. Awesome. Okay. Now I will set the public IP address. I have just taken an hypothetical example over here because right now I have to make sure my network has been converged so that we can, there's reachability to the other end. Okay, so my this is configured. Now let me just go to the server over here, and I have to enable the HTTP service. Yes, it's enabled because I will be just typing IP address over here, and I will be able to see a website. That's the whole purpose. Okay, let me just convert into a classless. All right, 10.1.1. Okay, let me just go to the router over here, and right now let me say no, enable config terminal. Now the first interface is interface F0/0. I will say IP address 10.1.1.1, and this is your subnet mask classless, and you say no chat. Then you say interface S2/0. You give the IP address 200.10.10.2 255.255.255.0, and you say no chat. Okay, so right now I have assigned the IPs. Everything should be working fine. Now what I have to do, I will just give static, let's give a default route so that I have host to host connectivity, and I will use my next hop IP. That's it. Let me just copy the same and go to the second router and say, oops, say exit first. Sorry for that. Okay. All right. So let me see if I can ping the server. This is not the case. This is just to check the network connectivity right now. Can I ping? Okay, we'll just wait for it. They are blinking. That means what? An ARP is happening right now. That's why there will be a first packet drop, and I'm getting reply. Okay, very good. Now I am going to configure static NAT. Let me just write it for you. I'm going to configure static NAT over here, and this side I will say NAT overload. Okay, so what we'll do, we'll just cover the static NAT first. Now before I configure, there's one more thing you have to understand. Whatever NAT we are going to do, basically they are divided into two zones. I have been using this term before also. So the first one is known as inside and second one is outside. Okay, so if you're going to, if I'm going to configure static NAT on this router, so for this LAN, my inside local will be this host. Why is that? Because inside and outside, they are further divided into something called as local and global. Outside local, outside global. So what I mean by these terms, let me just show it to you. This host over here for your office, for your server office, this will be called as inside local. Alright. Now, whatever is there on the ISP end will be known as outside global. This one over here, the default gateway will be called as outside local. Okay, and the IP address, the public IP address that you get from the ISP, it will be known as inside global. All right, so these are the four terms that we used. So these terms I told you inside outside, please remember that they have been further divided into local or global, both ends. Okay. Now the same thing happens for your LAN also. For your office, these three hosts will be a part of your inside local. This guy will be part of your outside local. This will be inside global, and on the ISP we have outside global. The inside global, inside local means what? It's just that whatever host you have, they are called as inside local. Outside local means whatever the default gateway and your computers, they're going to send all the data packets and they're going to route it to the default gateway. These default gateway will be known as my outside local. And the ISP that you will be getting, the IP address that is your inside global. That means what? That means inside global will be visible to others. All right. Now the primary function of NAT is to translate, but there is one more function that's like a huge advantage of using NAT. That function is your NAT is going to hide your LAN behind this IP. It is going to hide everything. It's going to hide your LAN. So whenever you ping someone or you ping the IP address, whatever, you will just see the public IP. That is the only thing visible. So you might have checked when you try to ping the Google server, you get public IP. So do you think that Google has thousands of servers, they all have 1,000 public IP addresses? No, they all use NAT. That's why whenever you ping, whenever you trace out, you just see a public IP address. Okay, so let me just do NAT over here quickly. So here we are going to do static NAT. So the command for static NAT is IP NAT inside source. Okay, then it has what? It has static. We are doing static right now, we'll say static. Then it tells me inside local IP address. So which is the inside local IP address? That inside local means my host. So I'll say 10.1.1.10. Then I have what? Inside global IP address. Inside global IP address will be my public IP. So it says 200 192.10.10.2. Then I have what? Enter. So what I have just defined, I have defined that I am going to use NAT inside static, and whatever data you get from 10.101.10, please forward it to 200.10.10.2. In this case, this router is going to just change the source IP in the IP header. If my data starts from here, obviously the source IP will be this guy. My NAT is going to change from the private to public. That's the only difference. So let me just go to the interface F0/0. I will say IP NAT inside. I'll go to interface S2/0. I will say IP NAT outside. Okay. Now if this is done, so let me just go ahead. Let me show you one trick over here. Now, before you saw that, I think I was getting reply from the exact server. Okay. Now if I do the same thing, I should be getting reply. But now you can see over here who's replying on whose behalf. This is the actual real scenario. When you try to ping a server, you get reply from the public IP. Isn't that strange? That's the mechanism, that's the technology what NAT has. It is going to hide everything. You won't be able to know which exact host or which exact IP address you're trying to reach. Alright, so let's move to this last part, that is configuring my NAT overload. Okay, now let me show you over here. Let's say that you try to hack and you know the private IP address of one of the server, and you just try to open that. Will it open? No, it's not. It's taking a huge time right now. You get what? Request timeout. But if you try to just enter the same thing, the IP address, the public IP address of the same LAN, oh, you can see that the website is open. I am able to open the website. How come? So whatever data you're sending to this public IP, it has a NAT done that whatever packet I'm getting, I'm going to forward this guy. And this guy is actually the server which is hosting this website. So when you're trying to open this IP using the public IP, the server is replying, but everything's hidden behind the router. Why? Because of static NAT. Okay, let me just configure the NAT over here. I will say access list permit 192.168.10.0.0.0.255. This is nothing. I have just created. This command is just create a list. Okay, don't take it as an access list. I have just defined a list that what all networks I am using. Okay, that's it. Now, the second command is ipnat source. Now, I will say list. That you have to do a list. What list? Just give me a moment here. Something not correct. ipnat, sorry. Inside source list 1. Okay. I have done what? Then I have the interface. So I'm going to define that everything what has to be done, it has to go to serial S2/0, and I would say overload. That's it. So right now I define a list, that what all list of a network I'm using. That's it. Then I define the PAT or the NAT overload command. What I gave is that ipnat inside source. Inside source will be my list 1. What is list 1? I'm just calling the list right now. That is 10.0. So whosoever from 10.0 tries to go outside, they will go outside on interface S2/0 in the overload mode. And this S2/0 by default, you can see the public IP address has been assigned. That's very simple. So let me just do one more thing. Let me say interface F0/0 I would say IP NAT inside, and interface S2/0, I will say IP NAT outside. Once I do that, let me just go ahead and let's go to the server. Let's go to the server, and let's say if I want to ping one of the LAN host directly. So if I say 10.10, that's it. But am I getting the reply? You can see over here, the first packet will be dropped. Then I might get a reply. But from whom? Alright, you can see I'm also getting a reply from the public IP address. Okay. So NAT basically is going to, translate your private to public, and also it is going to hide your LAN behind it. Okay, these are the two basic functionalities of NAT. That's why it is very famous. Everybody uses it, and you can. I have given you the example of a basic NAT configuration that you encounter in day-to-day life. That's your modem itself that you get from the ISP, and right now your whole LAN is hidden between two routers. So whatever you do, both the routers or any user, they won't be able to know each other. They won't be able to know that there's a huge LAN behind it. That's the beauty of that. All right, guys, thank you so much. You have a nice day. If you have any questions, you can post, and we will be happy to answer. Thank you. Have a nice day.